Brought to you by Metro PCS.
Weekend of high school football season here. Metro PCS pregame show, 7335 Airport Boulevard out toward Westmobile, almost all the way out to Schillinger Road as we get ready for our game of the week tonight. The Vigor Wolves playing host to the Jackson Aggies, making the road trip down south here. Good evening, Jim Cox, Dan Brennan. Whole host of characters we'll be talking to throughout the evening. You've got Vic Lockett joining us here on the pregame show tonight. We look forward
very special.
Looking forward to that. So last week, Dan, so we got we get to see Blunt back-to-back weeks. Saw him. Big loss to McGill, a game that really, Lev Holly didn't like the way his team came out and got after it. And I think you and Vic and myself all were getting ready for last week's game against Spanish Fort, really trying to see how was this Blunt team going to respond, and boy, did they ever.
Yeah, they did almost methodically. They got up to a quick start offensively, and then they just were able, with their speed and talent and coaching, to shut that Spanish Fort team down. Spanish Fort has struggled on offense this year. They're not going to run it up on nearly anybody. They've had injuries at quarterback. They've had injuries, period. So this is a Spanish Fort team, and of course, when you take Tyler Johnston out of the lineup, a guy that never lost a game, you're going to have some drop-off at quarterback, at leadership, all of the above. But Spanish Fort's they're struggling. And offensively, they leave their kind of defense out to hang because they're pretty good. Oh,
yeah, I think their defense is really strong. That front seven we talked about so much, but but they got to have a chance. I mean, you got to, like you said, your offense has to give you a chance.
Yeah, and then when it comes right down to it, I mean, Blunt's got so many weapons. If you give them a whole game to navigate against nearly any defense, they're going to get theirs at some point. They happen to get theirs early,
right?
And I wouldn't say they hit the brakes, but they comfortably went on to the 25-0 win, and nobody needs to send a bunch of soup over to Blunt. They're just fine.
I think they're a team that really, around the state, a lot of, they're back to rank #1 this year, this week in 6A, and I think a lot of people around the state are really taking notice of them. You got Kadarius as a senior this year. He's kind of been through the battles a little bit. I mean, we're a month away from the playoffs. It's hard to believe that we're a month away from already starting the playoffs, but I mean, I do think 6A, that Blunt team, I mean, it's going to have to go through 8 Mile if you're going to want to win the state championship.
You would think so, and also let's consider this as we look at the larger picture. Okay, where does this leave McGill-Tulane? I mean, they're a team in 7A, obviously, and ranked in the USA Today's top grouping. This team annihilated that Blunt team. Hard to believe anybody could. They did. They've got great coaching. They've got, they're kind of the total package. So McGill-Tulane, what are their chances in 7A of doing it again? And you'd have to say, after the body of evidence we've seen so far this year, not bad.
And so they won their first ever state championship last year and really got hot at the right time of the year. They played well all year, lost to Blunt, and kind of got refocused. But, I mean, when we see them this year, the McGill-Tulane Yellow Jackets, they're a more impressive team, I think, to watch on TV this year than even the team that won state last year.
Yeah, they were really efficient at quarterback last year, but now they're dynamic at quarterback with Bubba Thompson. And not only is this guy a great athlete who can really run when he decides to, but what Bubba Thompson does, it's so accurate. I mean, they've got the 4 wide. If they've got a front 7 that they don't think they can handle like they did against Spanish Fort, they can go 4 wide, and you've got a guy that's so accurate and so knowledgeable of the offense because this offense was supposed to be his a few years ago. Now, senior year, it is his.
We are at Metro PCS for our pregame show. As we get ready, it's the Vigor Wolves. They're on a hot streak as well. They've won 5 in a row undefeated in region play. Going to take on the Jackson Aggies. And we're here, 7335 Airport Boulevard is our location for the pregame show. If you're a fan of the Vigor Wolves, and who isn't? We all love the Vigor Wolves.
Sure.
St. Stephen's Road, that is your closest Metro PCS store. Stop in and see them. When we come back, Vic Lockett's going to join us to help us get ready for the matchup between the Aggies and the Wolves here tonight on UTV 44. Back here at Metro PCS, we get ready for our pregame show. We got the big fella with us here, Vic Lockett. He's always with us in the booth, and he's going to be with us in the pregame show here to talk about the matchup tonight between the Vigor Wolves and the Jackson Aggies. And Vic, it's good to see you early. It was nice to see our big fella with us early here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's good to be with you stars here, before the game.
Hey, we're just kind of talking a little bit, and I just mentioned it to Dan, it's hard to believe, like, we're a month away from the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the time of the year where you start to see kind of who's who. You got some teams that going to be kind of playing out the string, but I think this is the time of year when those who really have a goal, feel they can do it, they're going to start turning it up in the last month of the season.
Yeah, you know, teams now have figured out what they are and what they really going to be like. So, you know, the coaches now probably saying, you know, this is what we're good at, this is what we're not good at. We'll throw the stuff out that we're not good at and start, you know, building on what we are good at. And, you know, you'll start seeing the teams now become more solid and more oneness and playing and, you know, getting the drive to the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, you just talked about McGill, how great they are. We've talked about Blunt, just how exciting they are to watch and how much of a better overall team they are this year, second year under Lev Holly. But the one team that we haven't got to see, that I know we all really want to see, is Fred Riley and the Davidson Warriors. One loss on the year, triple overtime to McGill-Tulane, and the schedule just hasn't fallen into place for us yet, and we're hoping maybe early in the playoffs we'll get to see them. But I mean, I want to see this Davidson team.
Yeah, you know, Coach Riley's a great football coach, and I understand he's now got a quarterback, so he's working with that quarterback, and I'm excited too. I can't wait to see him as well.
They have just disposed of everybody on their schedule, not named McGill. And so this is a team that we didn't know exactly what we were going to expect or get out of Davidson High School by their own account, by their own judgment. They've had a couple of down years, really not playoff, you know, ready.
Sure. And
certainly not playoff teams that could go deep into the playoffs. Their numbers are still a little bit down. They got like 60 guys on the roster for 7A. That's not many. But it looks like the 60 or so that Fred Riley has have come to play.
And Fred, you know, 99 wins. He's sitting, just needs one more to get to that career 100 milestone, and he's going to do it sometime soon, you would know. And he talked about it a little bit. He said, you know, we've kind of gone through, there's been some zoning changes at Davidson High School, and the focus at Davidson now is really robotics, and so, like, academically, they've just become like the darlings of Mobile County for all the great things they're doing there. And so it's changed maybe the makeup of the school up a little bit. The numbers are down, and I know kind of Fred had to battle through a little bit. Like, this is not winning's tough on a coach. Like, it's tough. And he even said, now I remember what it's like. Winning's fun.
Yeah, I imagine when we see him, he'll be a little bit more gray in the hair. And
well, he doesn't have much to get gray. He doesn't have much to get gray.
And, you know, I think kids just kind of cycle through, you know, and he's probably going through that cycle where he's in the downs right now, or was, and, you know, now he's cycling up. Now he's at the top of the crest. So, you know, he's got the talent. He's got that good quarterback building around that, and he's got a football team.
You know, and the polls this week, you know, 4 of the 7 schools ranked #1 in the state are from Mobile.
Yeah.
You know, that's not bad.
It's not a shocker either, and we've watched this for years and years and years, the level of talent, the importance of coaching and coaching staffs, too, you know, that just really can mine out that talent, figure out who's best at what position. I think Vic's right about this, too. There are a number of teams, and probably we can talk to Coach Derek Scott about this at Vigor. You know, at this point of the season, now you're beginning to hit a bit of a stride, because now maybe, you've got some athletes, but now maybe you've got them in the right spots.
That's real key.
You know,
that's
and
really
I think
key.
that's something that coaches figure out as they go along.
Yeah, you know, they've made the changes. They've made the improvement from game 1 to game 2. Now you've settled in the 3rd and 4th games. You've got the players in the right place and they're playing the right position. So you're right. I think that's big.
You know who else we haven't had a chance to see is the #1 team in 5A, the St. Paul Saints, who got a big road win last week over the team we're going to see here tonight. The Jackson Aggies went up to Jackson and got the win there. Steve Mask, that was one they needed to have. And, you know, those Saints, they've been in a lot of big games. They know how to win the big, close football games.
Yeah, and they had kind of an uneven season last year for a state champion. You know, they didn't have an easy route there. They lost to Jackson, if I recall correctly. So they got kind of bumped back in the playoffs a little bit, and they had to go on the worst road in the playoffs with a bad set of tires, and still were able to get through and win that state championship. I know that was very satisfying for Steve Mask. Hopefully we'll get a chance to see them before it's all out, but you're right. 5A, 6A, 7A, and of course UMS Wright.
Yeah, and we haven't seen the Bulldogs yet this year either. You know, they're ranked #1, and of course Terry Curtis, you know, he's one of those coaches that he's always talking about, you know, getting his team ready for the end of the season. That's why he's used to play McGill to start the year, and his non-region, he's always wants to be there, and we all know UMS is going to be there at the end of the season.
Yeah, and their biggest challenge is always the teams from outside of the city. So those are the ones that he's preparing for. That's why he plays the McGills out of the conference right then. Then he's prepared when the playoffs go. Because, like you said, he's usually going to be there.
Yeah, we know they're going to be there. So that's 4 of the top 7 teams right here in Mobile County. And of course, Spanish Fort's been up there. They've been ranked #1 this year as well. And they fell down to a couple spots after losing to Blunt. We are here at Metro PCS getting ready for the big matchup tonight here on UTV 44. Derek Scott and the Vigor Wolves. Wolves. Charles Crawford is going to join us as well. They're taking on the Jackson Aggies 5A matchup. It's a big region game here tonight. We're at the Metro PCS out in West Mobile, 7335 Airport Boulevard. If you're a fan of the Vigor Wolves, stop by and see them at the Vigor location, and that is on St. Stephen's Road. And we'll talk all about Vigor Wolves and their matchup tonight against the Aggies. Derek Scott joins us coming up right after this. Metro PCS pregame show ready for a 5A region matchup tonight here on UTV 44. Derek Scott, head coach of the Vigor Wolves, and Charles Crawford, player of the week this week, hail.com.
Yeah.
Big game last week in the win over Williamson. We'll talk all about that win and what Charles has meant to the Vigor Wolves this season. Coach, we'll start off, had tough Baker and Blunt to open the season. Two tough draws, close games in both of them. Now 5 wins in a row. Vic was just talking about teams finding their stride. It seems like the Vigor Wolves have kind of found their stride right now.
Yeah, and we had a tough road in the beginning. We went out and scheduled some good competition, and that's something we always do. And it's a Vigor tradition to schedule good people. And so we're going to stick to that tradition of Vigor football, and we're going to always schedule quality competition. So we went out and scheduled, obviously, Blunt, our major rival there. So. And congratulations to them and what they're doing right now. Baker High School's out in West Mobile, which is a 7A school. And we went in and we lost them by 12. But we had, if you watch the game, we had our opportunities in that game. And we just came up a little short. And we feel like we're a good team as well.
Defensively, 3 of the last 4 weeks is shutout. Haven't given up a lot of points all season long. I think a lot of people look at your team, see the big offensive line, and we'll see it tonight. I mean, they are big. But defensively, I mean, it seems like schematically and the players you have over there, it's really been a strong point of your season so far.
It really has. We like to think that defense is a strong part of what we do and we build around it. But, they play well, and I give them the credit. But I told them, it was some things we didn't do so well this past week that, we gave up some points, and we're very concerned about that. And hopefully we went back and did some things in practice this week that'll help change that tide.
Yeah, I got a chance earlier this week to visit with Derek and his team out at Vigor, and I got a chance to actually go in the film room with the defense, and they were so intent on watching what was going on, they said, hey, man, keep it down. So they just about chased me out of the room.
You ain't Gruden. They're saying, hey, keep it down.
Hey, you ain't Gruden. Yap, yap, zip it. So anyway, but it does take nearly everything. I mean, you look at an opponent like Jackson. Yeah, it's great to have players that you feel like have got some talent, but man, people have got to buy into what you're doing, and they've got to do their job. And like I was hearing Rodney Harrison talk about on NFL Sunday, don't try to be a hero. That's when you get in trouble.
It is. It is. I mean, everybody has a role. Everybody has a responsibility on the team. And what I think he's referring to is, when some guys get outside of their role and they're trying to do other things outside of their job, per se, and then we call it being a hero.
Yeah, right.
So
not really.
Right, not really, but it's kind of a kind of a oxymoron. But it's the deal of just do your job.
Yeah.
Do your job and do it well.
That's what Belichick has built. That's it. Just do your job. Don't worry about everybody. You just do your job. Don't worry about anything else. Speaking of doing your job, I know, and we'll talk about Charles in a second here. Players are so important, but I think the one thing. Dan and I have been doing high school football a long time here. I think one thing we have really noticed and coaches have talked to us about is just the elevation of the coaching staffs down here, Mobile and Baldwin County. And I mean, it's like all of the assistant coaches, and I know you're very proud of the staff you've put together out there at Vigor right now.
I'm extremely, and I'm glad you brought that point up. I'm extremely excited about our staff and what they do on a daily basis. And sometimes they don't get the credit they deserve, and those guys work their tails off. My brother Eric Scott, offensive coordinator, Kendall Goodwin, our defensive coordinator. I can go down the whole list, but our whole entire staff, and I'm so proud of those guys and what they do and bring to the staff, bring to our team every day.
Yep.
You can't do it without them. And they deserve all the credit, and I deserve a small part in that deal, not much at all. You know what I mean? It's because of what those guys do on a daily basis, those assistants. And I know Charles attests to it. They work their behinds off to help us, to prepare us to be able to go out and play well. And I'm excited for the opportunity that they have for themselves because of it.
Charles kicked me out of the meeting.
Talk about, player of the week last week had a punt return, a kick return, but I mean, really a guy we'll see all over the field tonight. We'll see you catch the ball. We'll see you probably play some defense, punt return, maybe a little quarterback. I mean, I don't think Coach Powell's watching the pregame show, not giving away anything. He's probably watching some film. But just talk about how are you feeling about how your season has gone so far.
From the beginning of the season, we started out kind of slow, but we picked up the pace towards the middle of the season, and the team is picking up, and they're steady getting better and better, and we look to go out tonight and win.
It's got to start. I mean, it's got to be really fun to be. See a lot of kids who are really good at one spot on the field. I mean, that's what they do, and they do it really well. It's just got to be a ton of fun on Friday night to be able to do, oh, I don't know, everything out there on the football field. I mean, it's got to be just, I mean, it has to be just electrifying on Friday nights for you personally to be out there.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I'll go out on wide receiver and make a play, then come back on defense, make a play on defense, then go out on kick return, a punt return, and probably break and go for 60 or more.
It's not bragging when it's facts. He can back it all up. It's in the paper. It's everywhere. So, special kid, huh?
Truly, truly. And that's a testament to Charles' athleticism and his ability to understand the game of football, and as well as his family. You know, his family supports him a lot in everything he does, and so it's truly a testament to him and the ability he has to play on so many roles. And that's one thing that we like to feel like that we're starting to do a lot more of at Vigor, is develop that versatile football player. In some places you may get a specialized kid that's specialized in one position or of that nature. But here, we're going to allow you to play a number of positions wherever it suits you. If you can do it, we'll allow you to do it.
Yeah, give them more chances for the next level, too. You know, it's great chance there as well.
Absolutely.
Charles, we can't wait to watch it. I mean, just so much fun.
Oh, yeah.
We can't wait to watch it tonight. Coach, stay here. We'll talk to you more about your opponent tonight, the Jackson Aggies. We'll bring Vic Lockett back as well as we'll get ready for kickoff tonight. Region matchup, both teams unbeaten in region play as we, actually, no, the Aggies, they lost last week to St. Paul. So
yeah.
they're unbeaten in region play. Aggies trying to get them with one loss as well. We'll talk all about that and more as we get you ready for kickoff between Jackson and Vigor tonight here on UTV 44. Metro PCS pregame show. We get ready for the kickoff tonight. Jackson and Vigor. Of course, I should tell you why we didn't have Coach Danny Powell here. Just a long way to drive down to pre-record the show on Wednesdays for Coach Powell. Coach Scott, when you look at Jackson, what are we in for here tonight as we see the Jackson Aggies head out on the field?
Well, we're in for a fight. You know, we're in for a great game. They're athletic on defense and real. They move around and fly to the football. Offensively, they have a dual running back system. They have two good running backs. They have great skill. They're in the spread a good bit. And the quarterback is accurate. He's accurate and efficient. So
we were talking about that. For a guy that's coached a long time, Danny Powell actually is a little bit new age in that he was a guy that liked to spread it out before a lot of coaches and throw the ball around when he was at Leroy.
Absolutely. He was the head coach and offensive coordinator at Leroy when they had Clint Mosley and Sammy Coates.
Stiller.
Yeah. And so they were throwing it around back in the early 2000s when a lot of folks really hadn't gotten to that trend yet.
Yep.
And just a coaching legend. And we did the St. Paul's game with him a couple years ago. Spanish Fort. Okay, that's right. Yeah. And just had a great time on the field talking for him. I mean, 66 years old and still just loving it, and being around young kids helps keep you young. I think that's a big part of it. And also, I think one athlete we're all going to want to watch here tonight, Lev Holly's son, the coach of Blunt. He's a guy. We're going to call his name both sides of the ball for Jackson. You've seen him on film. He's a talented kid as well.
He is, and he's a high recruit. I think he's 4-star, something like that, 4 or 5-star. I don't know, but he's a very good football player. You got to be aware of where he's at on the field and how you going. They'll use him on both sides as well now. I saw against St. Paul, they actually put him at wide receiver and threw him the ball. I think he scored twice.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
So, yeah.
You're like, great.
Okay, now we got this figure it out now. You know?
Great. All right, so at the end of this show, we do these silly questions. We ask the coaches. Yeah, well, no, it's really me. And so Vic does know. None of the coaches know.
For the silly answers.
Yeah, that's what you're what you're here for. But sometimes it's way too. It's kind of simple. Wallet or money clip?
Wallet.
Wallet.
money clip guy.
Really?
Yeah, money.
you
There's
have
none
so
in
much.
it. There's none
Yeah,
in it.
yeah.
All right,
I don't have enough of it.
speaking of money, if you had $200 to spend on Dan Brennan, what do you buy Dan Brennan?
Hair replacement.
Because the last one didn't go so well.
I don't know. I get him a good set of clubs.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate
You
that.
can't buy a game. You can't buy golf, though. $200. You know, Dan, what do you buy him for $200?
You know, I'm going to want to go eat, so we'll go out and eat somewhere.
Thank you, my man.
That's it. Speaking of eating, favorite way to cook a steak? How you like your steak done?
Medium well.
Medium well?
On the grill.
On the grill. How about you?
Very well, charcoal grill.
Well, really?
Yes.
Medium rare on the grill.
Yeah, I saw Brennan's steak one time actually start moving over to eat the salad. It was so rare. I mean, it was really like a good vet could have revived your steak one time that we had together. Favorite baseball team?
Not a Braves.
Those that are not playing.
Okay.
Not a baseball fan.
Okay.
Braves.
Braves. All right. Pulling for the Cubs. Long time Cubs.
Well, you know,
Hey, I was a little in between, you know.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
had
I like
Harry
what's
Carey.
up.
We had Harry Carey.
They're so much fun to watch. Breakfast or no breakfast?
Oh, gotta have breakfast.
No breakfast.
Really?
Double lunch.
Okay. I know your schedule was always janky, but
yeah, no, you know, breakfast, but I try to eat not that much and eat healthy.
All right, so and this one would, in your case, would clearly be a case of mistaken identity. But if you had to call somebody for bail money, like they got clearly the wrong guy, who are you calling?
All right, Eric.
Calling your brother, Eric.
I'm calling my wife.
Okay. Yeah, she's an attorney. She can help you out
Yes.
there. Kim does not want that call, Dan Brennan.
Well, here's the thing. First of all, they probably do have the right guy. That's it.
That's it. Okay.
End on that note.
Not calling today. All right, we can't wait. Jackson and Vigor here tonight on UTV 44. It's a big region matchup in 5A. We can't wait for it to get started. Big Pocket, thanks for filling in for us. Scott, can't wait to see you on the sideline before the game. Danny Boy, good to see you as well. Stick around. Kickoff comes up next. We're in Pritchard tonight. The Wolves and the Aggies right here on UTV 44.